I, 20F. Want to leave my husband, 22M, and I need help talking to my parents about it. We met when we were 16 and 18 and started to court when we were 18 and 20. We got married 11 months ago. I want to leave my husband, but I can't get a divorce. I would be okay going back to live with my parents and helping to care for my sisters and brothers. But I would need to convince them to let me go back to their house. I would also need to accept that I couldn't get married again because divorce is not okay in my church. But I will do that to leave. My husband is very different than he was before we got married. He is working for his father in their family construction business. He has a lot of anger towards his father because he feels he could run the company better. He has a lot of anger and he tends to take it out on me. He never thinks anything I do is right and I usually end up crying while he's at work. I am trying my best. He is rough and mean in our marital relations and I don't satisfy him or make him happy in this regard. He says he wishes he choose a better wife. I have talked with my pastor and he said I had to try to make a better and more relaxing home for my husband to come home to. He also said maybe it's my appearance that is not helping anything. I have been trying to lose some weight. I have tried everything he suggested and things seems to be getting worse and not a bit better. I need help figuring out how to talk to my parents about this unless you think it is a flaw in me that's ruining the marriage. Then I would like marriage advice if possible. Maybe it's time to leave your church as well. Leave your church and divorce your husband. Your pastor is an awful person for saying that to you. He doesn't have your best interest at heart. You can change your appearance or rearrange the house completely 20 times. But it will never fix your husband's bad character or abusive nature. You are right to leave. And I would have a women's shelter backup plan if parents don't work out. Divorce is not the end of the world. And is in fact the logical response to sexual abuse. When and if you're ever ready. You're super young and there are tons of men who would cherish and respect you just as you are. Don't sugarcoat it to your parents. Tell them that he's sexually and verbally abusing you. And that you don't feel happy or healthy with him. Divorce your husband. Ditch your church and cut anybody out of your life that tries to shame you for doing so. If there is a higher power out there, I sure heck don't think they intended for women to be sex servants for entitled men. Leave the marriage and the church. There is many churches. I'm sure you can find one that sees you as an actual human being and fits your core beliefs. You are being religiously abused. I hope you get out and treated with the respect you deserve. Honey, you should take some time away from the church and divorce your husband. Maybe you have a relative who is no longer part of the church you could stay with? That's not to say you have to give up on God or that you aren't a good Christian woman, but God didn't intend for women to be treated like your pastor and husband are treating you. My husband came home to my chubby self who had an absolute mess of a house with dinner not even made today because I got distracted with my book and read for 4 hours straight. He worked almost 12 hours at a physically demanding job and walked in the house, realized I had been busy today, kissed me and asked if I wanted to go out to eat. You need some time away from your husband and church. Maybe even going to a different church for a while. My PMS are open, always open if you want to talk. The only time I've ever heard of a pastor giving that sort of advice to someone, it was in a book about children forced into marriages at age 13 to 16 or so. Usually with significantly older guy. The girl that had asked was being raped and abused by her husband and the fault was put on her for not being a good enough wife. It definitely sounds like time to leave her husband and her church. You can get divorced. And you should. And stop going to that awful church. You have been raised in a demeaning environment with bizarre beliefs. As have many other people. You don't have to do what is expected of you. Turn to someone outside your normal sphere for help. Are there support groups for abused women in your area? Honey, as a Christian, let me be clear. This is not godly love or a marriage worth staying in. Please leave, as it will only get worse. I see a lot of people saying leave the church and divorce him, and I couldn't agree more. A pastor that tells you it's your fault that you're being abused. Because this is abuse. Mental and verbal, and it's only a matter of time before it becomes physical if it's not already. Or your responsibility to stop his abusive behavior as a pastor that does not have your best interest at heart and knows nothing about God's love. The fact that you are afraid your parents won't help because of their faith in church just breaks my heart. Because you know what the Bible also says? The same goes for you husbands. Be good husbands to your wives. Honor them. Delight in them. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7. Do you think he's being a good husband by being abusive? Is he honoring every time he mistreats you? Husbands, love your wives, as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 25. Do you really think he is a loving husband? So let me say what apparently no one in your family or church is willing to tell you. You do not deserve to be treated this way. Do you honestly think God would like his beautiful, wonderful, amazing daughter to be treated like you are being treated? Please leave. Build a better life. Find a better church. Do some therapy. And never look back, because you deserve to be treated with love and kindness and compassion. Sis. I'm a Christian mom of 4. Devout Christian. I am concerned for you. May I ask you some questions? 1. What age were you able to go to school until? Was it traditional school, church school, or homeschool? 2. Does your church follow the Bible, and do the rules of your church align with the Bible? Does it use any additional books? If so, which ones? 3. Are you permitted to pursue higher education? And are women permitted to pursue helping careers like nursing or teaching? 4. Does your church believe in familial hierarchy, head of household, or something called domestic discipline? Quote. Sis. I know that the thought of leaving your marriage is overwhelming, and it sounds like you had to engage in a covenant marriage. It also sounds like your church has taught you that God hates divorce. Please understand that the Bible does not in fact teach that women's roles are purely to back up their husbands at all cost, or that they are lesser than their husband in any way. Please message me if you would like to talk through options. I can only imagine how overwhelmed you must feel. But please know that at 20 years old you actually do have real options here. Sounds like you need to get out of the marriage and the church. A church that will not let you leave your marriage is a church you should leave first, then leave your marriage. There are millions of churches on this planet, and most of them would be happy to have you. God forgives mistakes. Look up people who have left your church. Try Googling X your religion and looking on Reddit. Those people are often the most helpful resources to help someone else leave and recover from the trauma and brainwashing. Your pastor is wrong. Your husband taking his anger out on you, which is abusive behavior, won't be fixed by anything. At home being nicer. That's entirely on your husband. Your husband didn't change after you got married. It's more likely he hid who he was. And behind a shield of divorce isn't okay, was reassured that you could never leave. I'm pretty furious about the appearance comment. Because that should have absolutely nothing to do with any kind of loving relationship. Your pastor is wrong and a misogynistic. If your parents have the same mindset as your pastor, I doubt they'll be much help. You're very young. You have most of your life left ahead of you. I think distancing yourself from your church and its teachings would be a good idea. Focus on your relationship with God and what you need. I know it isn't nearly as easy as getting out. Most of your friends likely belong to the same church. Try and branch out. Meet new people. Make new friends. Have new supports who will also see that this is your husband's fault. It won't be easy, but it won't crush your soul like staying with him will. Out of curiosity, what religion are you and what country are you from? Regardless of your answer, you deserve to be happy in a loving relationship. You're only 20. You shouldn't have to spend the rest of your life unhappy because you married the wrong guy. Few didn't even have to finish to know that you must be in some kind of church. Do not consult the men and women in your congregation. It's clear that this type of behavior is something that is normal, so they're not likely to be any help. Do you have friends outside you can talk to about this? I say this because I'm a stranger that is going to say your husband and church blow, but in the end, you don't know me. You need to hear that you're being mistreated by someone you know. Please leave your church and divorce your husband. Your husband sounds abusive and your church is enabling him. This is not your fault and you don't have to live this way. Get rid of the husband and leave the church. You're in an abusive relationship and you deserve better. https www.healthline.com/health/mental-health/trauma-bonding http modelmugging.org/crime-within-relationships/abusive-personality-behavior/ Anna?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.